Hey everybody, again, this is Michelle Baker, and I'm going to pick up where I left off in the last video where I'm doing my animal collage and I was bringing in that zebra. So I used the quick selection tool over here to select that zebra out of a photo, and then I copied and pasted it into my animal collage. Okay, so here's the zebra layer. I'm going to back out and show y'all a few techniques that I use to kind of position him beside Michael Stephen. All right, while you're clicked on the zebra layer, you can go up to, first of all, you can hit Command T and it'll show you the bounding box of the zebra. And then you can go to edit and transform and use various tools like perspective, skew, warp, and arrange, the photograph with these minor edits to put it exactly where you need it. I pulled the paw of the zebra kind of up and this one down to get it positioned where I thought it looked nice. And then the side of the face here, I'll show you this, then I'll hit Command Undo. I had brought it more even. It looked like the right side was higher than the left. And, you can bring like the ears down. And if you mess up, you can always, hit Command Undo. So that's some, just some minor edits that I had made. And once you get it where you want it positioned, you can click OK. Now I need to get the face in front of his arm because I'd like that face to hang down over the arm and kind of show that the zebra is actually closer to him, hanging its head over the arm. So what I'm going to do is hide the Michael Stephen photograph right now and just show the zebra. See, I hit the wrong one. I hide that one and that one. Okay, I just need to select the face. So I'm going to zoom in. And for this, not sure which tool is going to work best. I'm kind of thinking that I want to use the magnetic lasso tool again, right here. So once I select the face, I'm going to take this layer above his arm so that the face is hanging over the arm, giving the illusion that it's hanging over the arm. Okay, so I'm going to get selected mask. And that looks pretty good. Doesn't really need a whole lot of work. So I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want it to have any blurring or anything. So click OK and take that copy above his arm. And then if I turn the zebra back on and the photo back on, his arm copy back on. See, now we just need some shading for that to look natural. But the zebra actually could come over a little bit, I think. Let's look. Or we can make it a taller. Let's see if we take the head to the body and select both and use the Command T option to make this zebra taller so that it looks like he hangs over that arm more natural. Like just the tip of his little jaw or something. I think that actually may look better. Now we can take it. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best. Okay, so I'm eyeballing this picture, seeing that the sun is coming from this side on Michael Stephen's head, but then his thigh shadows. So I'm thinking this side needs to be bright for the zebra, but I need to do some shadowing on this side. Maybe the same for the eagle. I want to put some grass over the hooves so that the hooves look like they're standing in the grass, and then some light shadowing to make it look, well, I just want to make the shadow bigger here. So let's do the hooves first. So I'm going to go to the original zebra and click on that layer. No, I don't want to click on that layer. I want to click on the original Michael Stephen photo where the grass is, and I want to sample, I want to cut and paste some of the shadowed grass since this is right underneath Michael Stephen. So I'm going to use the lasso tool and just circle around some of this dark grass that I want to use to cover the hoof. And I'm just going to hit Command C and Command V to paste it. I'm going to name the layer Zebra Front Hoof Grass. And wait just 1 second. Okay, then I'm going to take this layer up above the zebra because I want to put it on top of the zebra paw. So, oops, I need to use the move tool to move it. And you see how it moves up over the paw? So now I can edit this, take down some of it so it looks natural and take off the bright grass here. So give me just 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to put a little adjustment, a layer mask on that zebra hoof, the grass, and take off a little bit of that grass with a black paintbrush. So I'm going to take the opacity down just a little, maybe 50% or 40%, and just kind of take off a little bit so that it looks natural, like it's actually standing in the grass. Because you've got some shadowing under Michael Stephen. And so we're just going to take the bright grass here off. And see how natural that looks? Like it's actually standing in the grass. Okay, and I want to do the same for the paws back here as well. So I'm going to go back to the zebra, back to the Michael Stephen layer. And do it the same right here, but I'm going to use the brighter grass. It's right there. I'm going to name it back hoof grass. And once I get the move tool, I can put it on top of the zebra layer. The move tool will help me move it on top. And it might be too small. I probably needed a bigger piece. So I'm going to delete that one and do a bigger piece. So back to the Michael Stephen layer, back to the lasso tool. I'm going to get some grass over here. Copy, paste. That cool grass. Move tool. Oh, it has to be on top of the zebra layer in order to see it. So let's see where it is. Okay, we're gonna take off what we don't need by creating a layer mask and using that black brush. So Okay, I'm gonna zoom in to see what we got here. You know, I actually could take this zebra hoof out completely um, and make it almost as if it was standing straight behind his leg. So I think that's what I want to do is just completely erase it and make it almost like as if the zebra was just standing straight behind his leg, I think. See how that looks. Yeah, it's quite possible that it could be standing boop right behind his leg and we just can't see it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it like that and just put some shadowing here. So if we come back to the Michael Stephen layer and I actually take the patch tool over here and I sample some of this grass that I want to be darker, I can see how I did that and just make it darker. So I think what I'm going to do is come down a little to get it the right color. So I'm taking the area that I want to sample and with the patch tool and I'm dragging it into the color that I actually want. And I hit release and I hit Command D to let go and it kind of, it changes the color. You got to do small sections at a time or else sometimes it won't sample it right. I can also use the clone stamp here. So I can hit Option and sample this color here and go over this where it's too dark. And you just move slowly across and you sample that shadow perfectly. Now that's a way that cannot be undone, the clone stamp. The layer masking is a way that can be done. I'm going to sample this here and come over here and kind of lay some shadowing down. Now it's picking up where you see that cross. It's picking up the color right there. So I just like the way it looks with the clone stamp. So I want to take some back behind for the body. I think it looks nice and natural. Okay, so we're gonna sample that and come over here and do it, but I want a smaller brush. And I'm working real slow because I don't want my cross to sample anything else but just that dark color. Okay. All right, that's looking really good. So come back and sample. You got to watch that blinking cross because when it moves over into something else, it'll sample that color instead. All right, we're almost done. I want to do a little more shadowing. Watch the cross so it doesn't sample something wrong. I'm going to make my sampling brush a little bigger. Okay, looks pretty good. Now I want to put a shadowing on top of the zebra. So I'm going to hit the Create a New Layer button, and I'm going to move the layer all the way on top of the zebra. I'm going to put sun shadowing. Okay, remember we want to leave this side bright and this side dark. So we're going to get a paintbrush and just do like 15% black, the foreground color. I think that just going with a black color and making it a light gray would look good. So I'm going to make sure that I use a low opacity and just kind of put just a little shading on this side of the zebra's face and on this side of the body. Okay, I want to get behind Michael Stevens' hand. So I need to do a copy underneath Michael Stevens' hand because I want to get some shadowing underneath him. But it may not be necessary. So, but I don't want any shadowing on him. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll do a mask that I'll take it off his hand. I'll do a layer mask here and go with the, go to my swatches and get my 100% black right here and take it off his hand. I didn't really want his hand to be darkened. So, but I do have to go back up to 100%, or a little higher to, see how I kind of took that off his hand. Okay, we actually do need to put some shadows on there. That didn't look quite right. It doesn't look like it's underneath. Yeah, we do need to put some shadowing there. So, oh, that's too much. Okay, let's take a step back and look at what we got. That looks pretty good. The hind quarters of the zebra need to be darkened. So I'm going to darken it, but then come back and put, take the sun back onto his hand because his hand is kind of, see how I'm darkening the hind quarter of the zebra. But I want to take it off his hand. So I'm using that black paintbrush, takes color off, and a white paintbrush puts it back on. Or you can do the layer mask to see the front part of his hand is out in front. All right, so there's the zebra. And zoom in and see if this is actually part of the neck. I think that's what's bothering me about that zebra face. So I'm going to name this zebra face instead of zebra copy. That way I'll know it's just the face. And I'm going to put a mask on here and I'm going to take off this black because that was part of the zebra body. And it's just a little bit of an illusion because of the stripes. So it's making something not look right because this is part of the zebra body, not the face. So it was making this look like it wasn't authentically underneath the head of the zebra. I couldn't figure out what was bothering me. Sometimes you just gotta stare at it till you figure it out, the lighting and all of that. And then a little shadowing underneath that would look good. So on the Michael Stevens copy, I could put a little shadowing, just like this. So there I've got 3, and the task is to get 6. So I'm going to try to add 3 more. I know this video is kind of long, but I'm thinking about doing a squirrel next. Maybe this squirrel. This is a cute one too. So let's see. Let's try this one. I'm going to hover over Photoshop, or I could right click and say open with Photoshop and just use some tools that we've used in the past real quick. Maybe a quick selection. Okay, and I'm going to take off some of the wood that he's sitting on. And maybe grab a little more of this fur to work with. Push it back a little more. So we can kind of blend that into the photo and make it look nice. Okay, so I'm going to kind of move fast here so that I don't keep you too long on this video. But shift the edge in just a little to make it, try to make it look more natural. Do some feathering, some smoothing. And then make a new layer and click OK. Take that layer over into your collage and drop it. And then we want to set that on top of the top and call it squirrel. Hit Command T to shrink it to the size that you like. Maybe put it on the knee. Does that look good? Let's hit OK. And we'll do a layer mask on the squirrel to zoom in and kind of take off some of this, blend it with maybe 50% opacity, get the brush a little bigger, just barely tap the edges so that the squirrel will blend in. And if it's taken too much off too quick, you can hit your opacity down to like 30. Yeah, it is taking a little bit much off. It's kind of scaring me working too fast. My brush may be a little big too, but I'm just clicking and just barely touching it so that it'll blend, so that it doesn't look like such a cutout. If your computer is slow, it won't work in real time, and then you won't know how much you're taking off. So hopefully your computer is fast enough to show you what you're doing. If not, you may need to empty your trash or get a Mac, clean my Mac X. Okay, so I want to put a little shadow underneath the squirrel so that he looks like he's sitting, and I want to take off the tips of his little feet so that it looks like they curl around Michael Stevens' leg. And they don't stick straight out. Okay, so we're going to take off the in-between here so that you see the zebra in the background. And now we're going to put a shadow underneath by adding a layer and dropping it underneath. And we'll call this squirrel shadow. So you see how many layers I have now. And that's why it's important to name them. So again, with the brush, 33% opacity, let's take it down to like 15. Make my brush a little bigger, and we're just gonna do this. Here we go. Put a little bit of shadowing right here. And looks pretty good. We can take off a little to make it look a little more natural. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So we got a squirrel that could use some shadowing on this side, but I think it looks pretty good. So we got 4. And I'll tell you what, I think that showing you those 4 is probably good enough. I've kept you long enough on this video. What I'll do is finish the rest and then show you the end result. I don't want to keep you too long. Let's see. We have an eagle. How about this lemur? So another way you can bring it into Photoshop is open with Photoshop like this. Yeah, let's see about him. Let's take him out of here and put him somewhere. So my brush was really tiny and I couldn't see it. I'm going to again use the quick selection tool, and he's probably going to come out really quickly because the focus is on him and not the background. And so they clip out really easy when they're in focus and there's a definite line. So I'm just going to use the minus tool to come back into the tail on both sides. And that looks really good. Selected mask. We'll get this brown off his tail in the other picture. For now, we won't try to worry with that. Hit Command T to shrink it down. You don't have to hit any buttons. You can just hit Command T. And, you know, he can sit up on the back of the zebra, actually. So let's see how that works. That wouldn't work because his head, if he's on the back of the zebra, his head wouldn't be in front of the zebra's head. So can we set him on Michael Stevens' hand? We could, but it'd cover the zebra's eye, which is kind of annoying. But could we back him up just a little? And bring him down and onto the palm? Yeah, we could do that. If I put a layer mask, I can take off this brown by zooming in. And just some shadowing under the feet would be good. Probably also taking him down to like 98%. He wouldn't be so stark, you know? So let's go underneath him, which we could use the squirrel layer, but that'd be confusing if we ever wanted to do some edits. We wouldn't know where they were if we don't name it. So let's name it I'm just going to call it a monkey because I don't think I can spell lemur. So monkey shadow, and then we'll name this the monkey. Okay. Don't laugh at me for not being able to spell lemur. And we all have strengths. Mine just is not spelling. Okay, I'm going to take my opacity down to 14 and just do some shadowing underneath the lemur like this. Yeah. And then, if you want to make it a little more gentle, you can take some of that off, but I think that looks good. And then you could shadow like kind of underneath the edges, just so. And now that looks pretty good. And it may shadow a little more out here, but to do that, I think we need to take the opacity down more like to a 5. And then what we would do is, let me show you back up. You see how the hand shadow cast out here a little bit? All we would do is just kind of cast that like that. Okay. So there was, I think I want to use the clone tool to make this look a little more natural. Just kind of lighten that just a little bit. Okay. So now we have 5. Let's do one more. I think the lemur needs to be darkened just a little bit because, so let's go to the monkey layer. Because that looks really bright. There we go. That looks better. Just darkening that foot just a little. All right, we got one more to add. What will it be? How about a parakeet? How about this little guy in the other hand? Let's open with Photoshop and take him out of there with a quick selection tool. Really easy. Shrink your tool to get the tips of the feather and the little feeties. Probably need a smaller brush to get up in there. The minus to push it back into the bird. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. He's looking a little pixelated. It might not be a good choice, actually. So I could find a different bird that would look a little better. Maybe let's try this one. That one looks pixelated too. And I think the blue would be prettier. We'll try it. It's going to be tiny on his hand, so I'm pushing out with the plus tool to get that little hand, little foot. and pushing back in to get in between. Okay, that might be good enough. Let's go to selected mask and see what we got. It's okay, we need a lot of smoothing, but I think it might work out since it's going to be really tiny on his hand. So let's just take it over there and see. We'll hit Command T to shrink that little bird down. And we're going to set it on the hand over here. Right in. Let's zoom in and see the best place to set it. And parakeets are tiny. So how about like that? Or like that. And a little shadowing underneath. Yeah. Okay, so let's name it bird. Let's go with a shadow layer underneath. Bird shadow. Let's get some black at 5%. Shrink that brush. Okay, and then we're going to go to the bird layer and add a layer mask because I'm just going to barely touch the bird, kind of making it feel like it wasn't just cut and pasted in there. See how I took too much just then. My brush is too big. I'm just barely touching the edges, kind of making it feel like too much. I just want to barely touch it. And I could do some shadow on the underbelly, you know, like this. That's too much. 37 is too much. 17, maybe. Like that. Yeah, maybe so. So, yeah, just a little bit in the hand. And there you have it. We got our 6 animals in this photo. It's great. And that's it. So you go to File. You want to save as, make it a Photoshop file. So say I saved mine on my computer in my Animal Collage folder, and I named it My Animal Collage. I'm going to name it Miss Baker. My Animal Collage, Miss Baker. And hit save. And then you could export it as a photo as well by going File, Export, Export As. We want to export it as a JPEG, a JPG. That's a JPEG. That's a photo. This shows you how big it is. It's 8 by 10. These are the pixels, 3000 by 2400. And then you click export and you show the computer where you want it to go. I want it to go in that same file and with the same name, Animal Collage, Mrs. Baker. It didn't let me, Mrs. Baker. Okay, and hit save. All right, can't wait to see your work. See you soon.